I currently work at Zcash Company, which builds and maintains the protocol and consensus mechanisms for Zcash, the cryptocurrency. My talk will cover a little bit of all the different aspects of Zcash, what it is, why it exists, how it works, and how to use it. I think it is the cryptocurrency of the future, and it provides some strong privacy guarantees that regular cryptocurrencies don't have, and it provides selective disclosure that not a lot of privacy coins provide. Before I talk about Zcash, I will give a quick introduction to some blockchain concepts so that everyone can get up to speed. Blockchains are decentralized peer-to-peer networks. As the name suggests, this means that computers connect directly to each other rather than a server, and thus have no central point of control. This is not how computers conventionally work. Conventionally, client-server architecture means that each computer or process on the network is either a client or a server. Servers are powerful computers dedicated to operate as a centralized system that serves many clients. For instance, if you use Facebook, you can connect to the Facebook server, and its server sends you the page, the layout, and all the content. To upload content to Facebook, you need to send it to a Facebook server before it sends the content to others. To make Facebook misbehave or to hack Facebook, you would just need to target its servers. But it's hard to make a peer-to-peer system misbehave or hack it unless you control a majority of the computers, or specifically the computing power in that network, which is very hard to do. It is trying to control almost all of the computers in the world for a large decentralized system. In a peer-to-peer system, the computers connect directly to each other, and this technology isn't new. For the longest time, though, it was hard to enforce the quality or to get everyone to agree on something. For instance, if you used BitTorrent to download a song, I could give you a low quality file of the song or one with the virus in it. There could be multiple copies of the song and no way to tell which one was uploaded first or the original one and which person it belonged to. Since it was hard to get the computers to agree on what was on the network, it was ultimately limited by the fact that people couldn't trust each other. For instance, this system would be fine for a currency if you trusted everyone to not make any money that they didn't have, to send money in a trustworthy way, only send it if they have it, and only send it to one person. And if you trusted the transaction would be handled by the other party. But this isn't true. Middlemen are the ones that solve this problem. Take an example where I'm trying to buy something from someone on the other side of the world I didn't know and couldn't meet. I don't want to send them any money. Let's say I'm buying a coupon code because they're incentivized to keep my money after I send it and then not send me the code. And they don't want to send me the code because then I'm incentivized just to keep the coupon code and then not send the money. So this is a tough situation unless we use something like Amazon. They would put it up on that marketplace, I would pay for it there, and Amazon would handle anything like giving my money back if I didn't get it and handling the responsibility of the other person. Middlemen have a lot of power, but they also cost money. And we didn't have an alternative to this until Bitcoin happened. There are two things that Bitcoin did that are really important. With lots of math and stuff, it had some breakthroughs that allowed for consensus in a peer-to-peer network, which means that everyone in the network could agree on something, like the value of the currency or how much currency a person has. It also used crypto economics to make cheating really, really hard or more expensive than trying to steal money, and offers rewards for helping others in the network maintain the system. The implications of this tech are really huge. It implies that you can go from governments to policies, and commerce can become more decentralized and accessible to people that are unbanked. Zcash is a cryptocurrency designed to be used as digital cash. It creates a private but fully decentralized, secure peer to peer cryptocurrency. I hope now you know what that means. You can use Zcash to buy and sell things for goods and services, but securely. Bitcoin uses cryptoeconomics and the breakthrough instead of a middleman to establish a global peer to peer currency that doesn't depend on any bank or government. Ethereum allows people to build decentralized apps that don't rely on a single company like Facebook, and without having the developers having to worry about the blockchain beneath it by allocating resources with Ethereum tokens. Zcash is a fork or a version of Bitcoin and aims to be a global peer to peer currency that doesn't depend on a bank or government, but with privacy and selective disclosure on top. The private part differentiates Zcash from Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency coins out there, and the ability to choose if, when, and to whom to reveal your transactions to differentiates it from other privacy coins. We call ourselves the HTTPS of Bitcoin because we use encryption to hide or encrypt your transaction data. The important thing to note about encryption is that it is reversible. You can decrypt the data. This is what gives Zcash the ability to have private transactions that you can choose to show to someone else, like an accountant or auditor. Other privacy coins usually do something irreversible and not so, I guess, secure, like mixing your coins around with other ones or trusting certain nodes to mix and send the coins around without telling anyone. It's an unsophisticated form of privacy, and it makes you untraceable to your transactions in the process. This means you have to do everything in private and it can never be revealed to anyone else. And that's why a lot of privacy coins have the unfortunate associations with the black market and darknet activity. But why Zcash is associated with high value transactions despite having privacy features. Zcash's mission is to empower everyone with economic opportunity. To get everyone to use this currency, we have very high standards and we want to build a coin that everyone would want to use. And everyone includes the vulnerable population who need privacy to safely transact, and regular businesses who want a cryptocurrency they function as they would expect a currency to. We didn't think that other coins without privacy truly empowered everyone with economic opportunity because it comes at the cost of privacy. This is like if I told you, hey, you can think anything you want as long as you write it down and show me afterwards. Is that really being free to think? And when you broadcast all of your transactions on the blockchain and reveal how much you spend and who you're transacting with, it's not being really free to transact. We think that the price of privacy is too high. So we are doing everything to make a coin that allows people to use it without having fear of prosecution. This typically applies to people who are in vulnerable situations. When we say we are fighting for the right to transact, we mean the right to buy something. And if this sounds like a strange cause to fight for, or if it sounds like protecting only people who do bad things, it is likely because you haven't encountered anyone that had their right to transact infringed upon. I'd like to tell you that companies like Amazon don't exist everywhere. You can't access it from every single country in the world. And additionally, companies like that have policies and they're not willing to ship everywhere in the world. So not everyone can go buy something on Amazon. There are other currencies around the world as well that are controlled by untrustworthy or maybe struggling governments, and the hyperinflation makes it so that people with that currency can't buy anything with that money, even if they try to use 1 million of it. This really stinks if you want to buy your 13th shoe to go to some dinner, but it's really critical for people if they can't buy basic necessities like clothing, food, or medical supplies. I'm not making this scenario up either. Venezuela experienced hyperinflation recently, and Amazon refused to ship to Venezuela for who knows, I don't know if that was always the case. I was able to buy a t-shirt on a decentralized marketplace with Zcash, a privacy preserving cryptocurrency, and was able to ship it to someone in Venezuela. And they got the t-shirt. It would have cost them about a month and a half of their wage. And the ability to literally buy a t-shirt online and get it, this is the kind of things that we're fighting for. But while privacy is necessary for the vulnerable to participate because they could be prosecuted, it's illegal to use cryptocurrencies in some countries. The Zcash's value add of privacy and selective disclosure are also useful for businesses. Without the use of a private cryptocurrency like Zcash, the public can see your net revenue, who your partners are, if you spend too much money on your office supplies, and more. The blockchain is a source of data that can be used to track all sorts of things like habits and relationships. And that's just weird. And you can just have the right to say that that's weird. And we're fighting for that too. If you use Zcash, you can keep what you want private, but show what you're doing to auditors, accountants, and the governments. And if you want to be, you can be transparent about things you want to be strategically transparent about. For example, a nonprofit can choose to disclose all of its spending, but even an institution like this might want some privacy, for example, to maintain the anonymity of their donors. So we think that privacy is not only necessary, but useful to everyone. There are four components that make Zcash work. First is the token that is used to exchange for value. It is one Zcash or ZEC, and I think this is what people think of when they think of Zcash. There is the protocol that handles the transactions, the mining, and validation, and consensus algorithms that reach agreement among the nodes on what had happened. There's also the applications that allow the user to send and receive Zcash to exchange it for other goods and services and makes the requests to the network on the user's behalf. I will explain a little bit more about each of these components. The cryptocurrency, or one ZEC, is the token that is used to exchange for value. Zcash is a fork of Bitcoin Core, and like Bitcoin, it has the same overall supply of 21 million Zcash, and it halves the block reward every 4 years, which means that with each passing year, less and less Zcash is created. Some of the details differ though. For example, our block size is different and we generate a different amount per block. It just means that we introduce Zcash at a different rate. The protocol and consensus rules are complicated, but I will try to explain it by telling you about the concepts that it interacts with. What the protocol and consensus does is that it uses a public append-only ledger, a list that keeps track of all the transactions that ever happened. It uses standard out-of-the-box encryption to encrypt the transactions on that list if shielded transactions are used. Then it uses zero-knowledge proofs to verify that those transactions happen safely while keeping the data encrypted in public. And then it can also use viewing keys to see what the transactions were, if you want to reveal it or let someone else see it. And it can also interact with some fun features like encrypted memo fields that allow you to write a note in the transaction that you can send to the receiver. When changes are proposed to how Zcash should work, some of the things like I talked about above should work. People will vote on the changes to it, and it will only change the protocol or the consensus rules will only change if there is agreement among all the parties or there is consensus. In Zcash, there are five constituencies of consensus or five groups of people that can decide what the Zcash protocol will and will not be. There are overlaps in these groups of people, but generally speaking, there are first the miners who choose what software to mine with and keep the transactions flowing in the network. Two, merchants who choose what software to run on the nodes that are accepting payments for buying and selling commercial goods and services. Three, developers who write the software for Zcash but can't force anybody to run that software. Four, wallets and their respective companies that get to decide what rules the wallet will and will not follow. And finally, exchanges that are deciding what rules to use and accepting transactions when depositing, withdrawing, and exchanging cryptocurrency. Applications support Zcash and allow the user to use it, and that's essential to let people send the token with the protocol and have the consensus algorithm happen. This typically means, or applications, I mean, are usually wallets or exchanges that will allow you to send or receive Zcash or buy and sell Zcash online. But that's not the limit of the possibilities out there. OpenBazaar is a decentralized online marketplace. It's like Amazon, but without the centralized company that accepts Zcash as payment. There is a company called AirTM, which allows you to hold Zcash in US dollars and to use it again as Zcash or in other currencies, which allows you to ride out the price volatility. There are other services like private internet access or other charities that just accept payment in Zcash and they don't have an application, but their website is accepting Zcash. So that's also a way to use Zcash as well. If you want to use Zcash as a form of digital currency, I personally recommend a small handful of clients: Jax, Exodus, Trezor, Ledger, and Zcashd. Jax and Exodus are software light wallets, which means one, that they are wallets that you can download onto your phone or desktop, and you don't need to buy any hardware associated with it. And a light wallet because it only gives you send and receive capabilities. You don't validate transactions on the network, participate in consensus, or anything like that. I recommend using wallets like Jax or Exodus or any other software light wallet as your hot wallet, or equivalent to how you would treat your physical wallet in real life, keeping cash on hand that you're going to spend soon, but not all of your money. You should do this because it's really portable and easy to use, but it's not the safest form of storage. I recommend Jax personally because it has cross platform support. You can download it on Android, iPhone, or across a bunch of operating systems for desktops, and it's just very simple and easy to use. Exodus is only available on a various arrangement of desktop operating systems, but it has really slick graphics and cool accounting features, which makes reporting your transactions easier if you use cryptocurrencies often. Trezor and Ledger are hardware light wallets, which means that you need to buy a piece of hardware to use the wallet, and your funds are stored on that piece of hardware. And the light wallet similarly means that it only also has send and receive capabilities and doesn't participate in consensus or validation. I recommend using hardware light wallets as a place to store your money safely, equivalent to how you would use a bank account, because hardware wallets are the most secure way to store funds and practically unhackable, but it is just an event to use. Lastly, Zcashd is a software full wallet and the only well-functioning full node client. It being a full node means that when you use this, you can do everything that a light wallet would, like send and receive transactions, but you also validate the transactions, participate in consensus rules, and means that, ooh, you are a part of the Zcash blockchain network. And this is really cool. If you use this, you can strengthen our network, vote on the future direction of Zcash, and I highly recommend that you use this if you are an advanced user and are comfortable with command line clients. It also has the ability to customize parameters, and this is what you would interact with if you were trying to do things like parse your own transactions or support Zcash in an application. Currently, shielded addresses, which are what you need to use for private transactions, are not supported in most of the wallets that I recommended. This is because, well, firstly, shielded transactions take a lot of computational power and memory, and it's really hard to be supported on mobile devices. But this will be addressed in an upgrade coming soon this year called Sapling. And when that happens, I hope that a lot of these wallets will support shielded addresses. And secondly, a lot of the wallets that can support Zcash today are multi-currency wallets that have just decided not to support this. For example, desktop clients like Exodus don't have that limitation, but simply chose not to prioritize it. And if you want some of the privacy benefits, like I discussed before, and you use clients like that, let your wallet know that you want this so that they know that this is something that their users want. Eventually, we want to get to a point where using Zcash just means using shielded addresses and you don't have to think about any of this stuff. Also, a disclaimer, I don't see Zcash as a quote unquote investment, and I don't know as much about exchanges as I do wallets. But if I do have to say something, I recommend that exchanges vary from country to country. I recommend that you use one in your country if possible to comply with any regulations. In summary, Zcash is an open, global, secure form of internet money with a mission to empower everyone with economic opportunity. We call ourselves the HTTPS of Bitcoin because we encrypt all of your transactions on the public blockchain ledger. What differentiates it from other cryptocurrencies is privacy, and what differentiates it from other privacy coins is the ability for selective disclosure, for the ability for you to decrypt your transactions and show people. Because of this capability and the add of privacy, I sincerely believe that it is the cryptocurrency of the future and the cryptocurrencies that can be used by everyone. I hope that that was a good summary of what Zcash is. We would love it if you joined us. Check out our code, join the community, integrate Zcash into the app, and use Zcash. Thank